How's it going? Captain Coach here, and the mid-season balance changes are finally upon us for Season 2. 2.5 launches in a week. I think this is a pretty important patch because for a lot of us, this is a make or break patch of balance changes. I think some people have actually probably are taking breaks from the game right now because of how stressful and unfun the games are feeling. I've given negative scores, not very good scores for previous balance changes, and have said openly on my stream that the best season of balance for this game has been Season 0 before they started making any changes, not including the beta. So we're going to go over these changes here coming up in a week for mid-season 2.5. I'm going to break it down for you, tell you what I like, what I don't like. Is it going to be good for the average player? Is it going to be good for the high-ranked player? And we're just going to really get into it, get into the weeds, and break it all down. I remembered last time I started at the top, and I remember now for the future, we're going to start on the team-ups. And the team-ups, let me tell you, for this season, I took a little peek beforehand, are crazy. I'm pretty excited for them, but we're going to get right into it. So, Luna Snow and Hawkeye now have a team up. Luna gets 15% increase in healing, which her I know for her normal changes, she's also getting a buff to her healing. So this is definitely something we're going to have to keep an eye out for, because Luna's already one of the better healers right now. Now Hawkeye gets an Ice Arrow, which does AoE, if you watch the devlog. That's going to be a nice change at Hawkeye, and I like a change like this. This is a very smart way to buff Hawkeye, right? His win rate's pretty low, but he's very oppressive to play against. He feels very strong, and when you buff something like AoE damage, it's not as directly noticeable, right? When you're going to get a power level increase, but the one shot isn't going to get any easier, right? It's more in terms of just group damage, team damage. I still don't think Hawkeye needs any buffs. I think he's fine the way he is, but I get the idea behind it. If they're going to buff him and they want his win rate to go up, this is probably a decent way to do it. The Jeff NATO. This is something that is a reference to the movie Sharknado. If any of you have seen... yes, Marvel Rivals is putting a Sharknado reference into their game due to community feedback. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to work. This is going to be something that we're just going to have to see how it plays out. But basically, Jeff and Storm can combo their ults together. And according to the devlog, Jeff will still have the E effect afterwards. But also... Storm already has the team up with Torch, so I'm not sure if those two are going to be able to combo together. So there's a lot up in the air, a lot of that we're not sure about. But I think giving Jeff a team up like this is encouraging more of like a team-oriented Jeff, more of a frontline Jeff, which you're going to see from the Jeff changes as well. I think this is a pretty fun, pretty cool idea. I'm excited to see how it pans out in the games. But a lot of the team-ups, you got to remember, we don't really know exactly how they're going to work because we don't have like a detailed tooltip list of like the damage numbers and everything like that. But I think, I mean, why not? This is a cool change. I like this. Because one more thing, I think they're trying to get rid of backline Jeff, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Okay, so now Punisher. Punisher doesn't have his team up with Rocket anymore, which is a Hulk player. I'm very excited for it. No more infinite ammo. And now he gives a team up to Black Widow, which basically lets him lets her shoot through targets, so you can get double headshots now. Double headshot KOs. The FaZe Clan clips are now possible on Black Widow, right? And then Punisher getting that anchor bonus, getting free 25 health and 5% boost in damage. That's gonna more than enough. Well, maybe not more than enough, but at least that's gonna help him with the loss of infinite ammo. And I think one of the reasons that Punisher is held back in terms of win rate, which his win rate is also kind of low, but he feels powerful to play, is because he's one of the few characters susceptible to dive. So when you give a character like that 25 health, that is definitely going to help out. Now, as I said, Rocket Raccoon lost his team up here. He also loses a little bit of healing, but he gains it right here. 5% increase in healing. But like I said, if you scroll up, you're going to see how he gets a slight healing nerf. So they're more or less going to balance each other out. And now Penny can buff Rocket's BRB, his res beacon, to put out spider mines, just like Penny's spider nest. And Rocket can give Penny an extra spider nest that also spits out armor packs and jump packs. The way it's balanced is, though, that they cannot be used at the same time, so there's going to be a little bit of coordination. But let me tell you, I am not looking forward to even more mines being down after Penny has had all the buffs that she's had. But definitely a cool idea, interesting change. I'm excited to see how it pans out in the game. Now, Iron Man, Ultron now have a team up together. Iron Man gets a 5% damage boost, and again, this is to counteract the loss of Gamma Beam, which will, maybe it'll be mentioned here. Which, I'll just quick aside as a Hulk player, Hulk being tied to so many team-ups is not a good thing when it comes to balance, and it's partly why Hulk's win rate's so high. So definitely happy to see more people off of the Hulk team-up so they can balance him as a character, a hero, directly. So seeing Iron Man go to a different team-up, or becoming the team-up tree, base, whatever it's called, is a welcome change, but gets that 5% damage boost to make up for it, and the Ultron Nanoray, again, a lot of the stuff we haven't really seen in action yet, is going to be a piercing beam that heals people and damages people in the same line that does not get stopped. So it can heal and damage multiple people in the same beam, which is going to be really cool because if Ultron is going to be a flyer, which also, if I'm sure you saw by the thumbnail, Ultron is in this patch, I don't think he should be able to have the longest range as a healer. I think maybe he should. The trade-off, if he can fly, is that he has to be kind of closer up to get his healing off, and this is kind of in line with that. Beam abilities are generally mid-range. Now, Hawkeye and Black Widow's team up are gone. Like I said, infinite ammo gone. Jeff loses the frozen chi slow team up, which that's a pretty strong of Jeff, but it's more for like an offensive-minded Jeff, right? And obviously makes backline Jeff really scary, so that's gone. And like I said, Hulk Iron Man. And this is the big one right here. This is the one that I think, make sure you don't miss. Symbiote Bond team-up gone. So the big black spiky explosion that Spider-Man and Penny have that gives him iframes, now out of the game. And there is no mention of Spider-Man gaining another team-up. Venom gets another team-up with Jeff, which I don't think I've seen that one yet. But Spider-Man, all by himself. No Way Home, more like Home Alone. Next Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Home Alone. Sorry, Spider-Man, no team-up for you. Nobody likes you. Okay, and moving on. Just changes to the team-ups themselves. The damage boost. So Iron Fist loses 5% damage off the Luna Snow team-up. The cooldown of the Fantastic Four team-up is increased by 5 seconds, so a nerf to all the Fantastic Four characters, even though their movie's about to come out. The Hulk team-up. Not only does he lose Iron Man off the team-up tree, the Namor team-up gets nerfed. So this is stuff that you want to see, not just for Hulk, but for all these characters, not being so tied to their team-ups when it comes to their win rate. You want a hero to feel balanced based off of their own kits, their own abilities, and not the abilities they give other people. This, in the long run, is going to make the game a lot easier for NetEase to balance, and it's something that I've been saying since Season 0. I think the team-ups are too strong, and when they buffed them last patch, I really thought it was a step in the wrong direction. I think they should be a little flavor thing, a little change in the gameplay. You shouldn't be relying on team-ups for these massive shields and stat boosts. So so far, this is looking like a really, really solid patch. I'm really excited. And last but not least, this is so good. Yeah, so the illusions, the clones that Psylocke and Magneto create. This was just making Psylocke over the top, overpowered. Magneto less so, but the double bubble is really nice. But reducing the damage of them by 10%, or from 30 to 20. I think that's, again, another really good change. Now, we're going to go to the top now that we've gotten the team-ups out of the way. And then now all of these changes that we read are going to have a bit more context. Okay? So, right from the top, starting with Captain America, who, if anyone has played against a good Captain America knows, this hero is a menace. And he's probably not only the hardest to kill character in the game, but he is going to be terrorizing your healers all game. So reducing his health by 25 reducing the amount of time it takes for his shield power to regenerate, the shield that he holds up, by another 2 seconds, which is a pretty massive change. It means he's not going to be able to go in as much and constantly harass people. He's going to be a little slower when it comes to that. And his ultimate now has a bit more charge time. These are all going to be things that slow down Cap's ability to harass your backline and stall and be an annoying little gnat. But at least I didn't take a hit at his damage, so I think he'll still be able to carry games, just be a little harder to do so. I think this is a good change. Mainly for healers players' sake. Doctor Strange. So Doctor Strange got a pretty big nerf and then has been kind of receiving periodic micro buffs. And it looks like that's more what he's getting here. His normal attack now does more damage at farther range. And the fall off, which they gave to Maelstrom of Madness, which initially I thought this was a really good change, probably just feels really bad. And it's one of those abilities where it's like, we probably over-nerfed Doctor Strange on this. He doesn't need damage fall off on this because it's not really one-shotting people anymore anyway, because they nerfed the base damage of this by 0.1. So overall, I think, I will say right now, Doctor Strange is probably the most balanced tank in the game right now. I think Doctor Strange is actually in a really good spot. And the choice for them is to either nerf all the other tanks, which it looks like they're nerfing a couple of them, or just buff Strange a tiny bit. I think this is an okay buff. I think Doctor Strange is going to be in a good spot still. I think they need to be careful with this, though, because I know their mantra is to keep everything relatively strong feeling. That's like kind of been like buff rather than nerf, but I think sometimes it's good to nerf heroes, and look no further than Emma Frost, who definitely 100% needs a nerf. I think Emma Frost is probably tied for the best tank in the game with Groot. I think she's just completely overpowered. Despite dive being the strongest it's ever been in the game, counter dive is also probably the strongest it's been every game, and I think the dive is winning. That being said, Emma Frost's anti-dive is absolutely broken, so I'm hoping for some nerfs to that in her kit, her nerfs to her diamond form. So let's take a look here. Increases the range of telepathic pulse. I will say though too, she's a very fun character, very popular character. So I don't think they're ever going to gut Emma Frost. She's a very unique type of tank. But okay, so her range is increasing for her normal attack, which I don't hate this as long as I see the appropriate nerfs below, because one of her niches as a tank is being able to kind of reach and kill flyers, and this makes her better at doing what she can do that other tanks can't, which is really only Strange, Magneto, who really don't. Strange is probably the best anti-flyer tank if you really want to get into it, because you can fly up, block him with your shield, and use the instant burst. But I'd say Hulk, and then probably Emma, and apart from that, there's really not very many reliable anti-flyer tanks. So I kind of like that this is kind of where they're pushing her into her niche, because that means they can take power away from other parts of her kit. Now, they nerfed her shield by 100. This is massive. Okay, so they're really making Emma more of a damage-oriented tank. I always thought this shield was way too much for how much damage she had. So they're making her more an aggressive tank, kind of like Strange here. So I do think some sort of survivability nerf was needed. I know some other Emmas might not agree, but I think this is a fine change. I mean, her shield just does so much. You can put it anywhere. It shouldn't be able to shield for more than other tanks, and then, you can put it wherever you want. So I either nerf the cooldown or nerf the amount. I like nerfing the amount because it makes her flow better, makes her more fun to play. This is a good change. Okay, so here we go. Diamond form stuff. The Carbon Crush is now 1 second longer cooldown. I still think she can get 2 in her diamond form. Let me check that, because I feel like that's actually pretty important information. Basically, the ability that Emma grabs someone and then she can combo into kicks and knocking people into the team has a second longer cooldown. Let me double check to see how long her diamond form lasts. It lasts 8 seconds. There's a 1 second wind-up time where you can't cast any abilities. So if you were to immediately cast diamond form, then cast Carbon Crush, you would still have 1 second left to get the second crush off. So you can still get 2 in 1 diamond form, but it's going to be a little harder to get. You're only going to have a 1 second window where you have to spam it at the end. So it should still be possible, which is if it wasn't, this would be a way bigger nerf. But it still is like a decent nerf. I don't think this really matters that much. But the kick damage has gone down. And the kick is something that you can spam in diamond form and does so much damage. This is receiving a bit of a nerf. You know what? These are some pretty decently sized nerfs to Emma. I still think she's going to be good. I still think she's going to be popular. I still think... what I wanted to see, the nerf I wanted to see was... And sorry, this is just going to be a long patch note. You guys know me. I like to give you my thoughts, break it down, give you long-winded opinions. And I'm going to tell you what I think should have been changed a lot of the time. And then we go off on these tangents. But Carbon Crush, when you grab people, they are able to take damage from other characters. You compare that to something like Hulk's ultimate grab, where he smashes people on the ground. They're immune to taking damage from teammates, but they can still be healed. I don't know why Emma, which an ability that only has like a 20-second cooldown, doesn't function the same way. So that would have been... I honestly think a better change would be to when she carbon crushes someone, you just can't hit them. I know it probably doesn't make a ton of sense, but it would probably be what makes her the most balanced. And that way, you probably didn't have to nerf these parts of her. But overall, hey, at least they're nerfing Emma. Do I think it's going to be enough? No. I still think she'll be good, especially now with the rise of other anchor tanks, though. She might see a bit of a hit in play rate. Okay, Groot. I still think Groot needs more nerfs, and it looks like that's what he's getting. Damage nerfs on his Vine Wall, which means he might not be able to one-shot combo people in his ult through support ults anymore with double walls and the melee combo. For those of you who are Groot players, you know what I'm talking about. This is the big one, though. This right here. These are both pretty big changes because of how his combos work, but this force, the cooldown on his Ironwood wall, the Beef Boy wall, 50% increase after just receiving a health or flash patch. This is finally going to put Groot in line with other tanks, I think. Because this is what I was saying it was needed. Just at a certain point, you can't reduce the health anymore. You got to just increase the cooldown, because that way it gives teammates a more realistic window to have like a concerted effort, like, oh, Groot wall is down, everybody focus it, and now we have a power play, right? We have a window where we can do something and not have to worry about it. This is exactly what was needed for Groot. I do like that they reduce his damage, though, just because, let's be honest, he just does more damage than other tanks. So these are great changes. These are really great changes. These are exactly the types of nerfs I think Groot needed. And now people are still encouraged to go wall break, because when you actually break a wall, it's going to be down for a little bit. So, chef's kiss. Beautiful. Magneto. Okay, so his Master of Magnetism charges much... Wow, 4 seconds to 3 seconds. That is a pretty big change. This is going to be a pretty big buff to Magneto's damage. I think he's going to have a lot more carry potential now. I like that they're buffing the anchor tanks here. Strange, Magneto. I like how they're buffing them, because I think part of the reason the game quality of Marvel Rivals feels so terrible right now is because people don't want to play anchor tanks. They don't want to play them. Which anchor tanks give your teammates a certain level of stability and ease when it comes to dealing with all sorts of, like, frontline dive, backline dive, right? So this, making sure the anchor tanks actually feel impactful to play and encouraging people to play them. This is obviously a great change for Magneto. This is good Magnetos will be able to carry with this, but I more like this just as a placebo buff for bad Magneto players, just to get more people on anchor tank. So so far this patch is looking, this might be my first high grade for a patch, which we give our grades at the end here. Now let's go to Thor. So Hammer Throw no longer costs Thor Force. It has a longer cooldown. You gain Thor Force for hitting enemies, so you don't have to melee after, but it does less damage. This is an insane buff. So one of the biggest problems with Thor and what makes him so, I wouldn't say difficult to play, but maybe not as OP as other tanks, is if you use your dashes, right? You use a Thor Force to dash. You can't immediately, right? You can't immediately use your awakening, your lightning bolt throwing. Lightning bolt. You can't do that. You have to hit somebody in melee to recharge the hammer, or you have to just sit there like a jackass and wait for it to come up. Now Thor has a ranged option, right? A ranged option to gain Thor Force. The damage of this, the nerf, whatever, is negligible. You'll still be using this in combos, especially if it's off the universal cooldown, which I call it global cooldown, but same thing. Basically, the thing that there's like a 1 second delay after Thor ability where you can't use another ability. This is going to be off that. So this is going to be, you can be able to spam this, weave this into combos. Good Thors are going to probably know how to combo this really well. So good Thors are going to take good advantage of this. But it's also makes Thor less punishing for maybe not good Thors, or Thors who maybe messed up or got pushed out of a fight, right? So now you can gain Thor Force on demand if you're accurate, and start slinging those lightning bolts even sooner. You're going to be able to have really high uptime with your Awakening. But I guess the trade-off is Thor gets less shielding per Thor Force. I don't think this is that important of a change because you're going to be getting more shields to begin with, and Thor is going to be cycling through them. Good Thors that we're going to be cycling through them constantly. I think this is going to be a pretty big buff for Thor, despite the massive shield nerf, just because you could be getting way more. It might, you know what I think's going to happen? Thor win rate might go down a little bit, and then it's going to go way up because I think they're going to figure it out how to cycle through it. So this is really cool. I really like these changes. They basically made a useless ability into now something that is going to be Thor's bread and butter when it comes to comboing and cycling through his range. So really like those changes again. Like this is a fantastic patch so far. Okay, so we already went over the Hawkeye team ups here. Looks like the normal damage of his arrows going up, which I was hoping they would, the AoE from the ice arrows would make them not want to do this. But it looks like all his damage is going up a little bit. And yep. Okay, well, I'm not looking too forward to this. Just all-around buffs to his normal attacks. Going to be a little easier to one-shot and charges a little quicker. Yeah, they're really... they're one of the lead developers must play Hawkeye. One of the lead devs must play it, because this guy has gotten buff after buff after buff. Was OP, pick ban in Season 0, and is already gets banned sometimes in higher ranks. Man, oh man, am I not looking forward to playing against Hawkeye. He might finally be back on the ban table. Hela. So those Hela nerfs, mainly the increased cooldown to her bird, were actually, I talked to a Hela player, a pretty high rank Hela player, was a pretty big hit. And it says Hela doesn't feel that good to play anymore. This is going to probably bring her back up. I still think Hela's very strong, but you have to be good on her. So I don't hate this because this is really not that important of a change. Although this Thorn thing, if you get hit by all of them, actually shreds. So might have to be on Hela alert as well. But I don't know. I'm okay with her having more damage if she's actually killable, which I feel like a lot of duelists aren't. So the bird changes from last patch still kind of being relevant here. I don't like seeing Hela buffs, but at least she takes skill to play, right? Which, you know, who doesn't is Human Torch. And this character is a menace. Absolutely broken. So, Fire Cluster is his basic attack, going from 7 per hit to 6 per hit. This is a good change, because you can literally just tap, headshot, headshot, kill somebody. From a range, from height, from flying. So, I don't know if he's still going to be able to want to tap people with this, but Human Torch, just maybe let me know in the comments. And then Blazing Blast, which is his right click, which is the fireball. Now this is going to have a bit more setup time, and putting that fire field on the ground, going to come out a little slower. And you're going to have these less often to burst people. And then the shield value from his meteor, which I don't know why he got such a massive shield from this. For anyone who plays against good torches, no, this character is just unkillable unless you just 2-tap snipe him from the air. And even good ones will react to it quick enough and then just use this as an escape. So I like the increased cooldown. I like the reduced shield. This is exactly the type of change you want to see for Human Torch. I think this is going to bring him in line with other characters. I do. I think he'll still be strong, though, mainly because of his team-up, which hasn't gotten touched. Iron Fist. Okay, here we go. So Iron Fist, another character that a lot of people would say is ruining the game for them, making the game less fun. He's a character that's commonly banned. So let's see what they do with him. Damage and survivability both going down, which honestly is probably what he needed. He just can do too much. He has no weaknesses. He does a lot of damage. He's hard to kill. He can be everywhere at once, just mobile. He's just an all-around, like, really well-designed, strong character. So the conversion rate from his right click is going down, so he gets less health from that. less health overall. Slightly decrease the dash distance of Jat Ji Chung Quen in the Z-axis direction when there is no target. So this is some high elo, high rank Iron Fist tech that he can use to escape fights that he engages on when his right click is up, the fast punches. I'm sure some of you probably know what I'm talking about. The way you can basically aim up and punch in the air, and your character will kind of like, he just gets like pulled away from where he's going. It's like an escape tool. It's really weird. It makes no sense. He's just literally punching air and using it as an escape. So it looks like they're kind of nerfing that. Again, if you're an Iron Fist player in the comments, please let me know if I got that right. But this is tech that I actually learned about recently that I see Iron Fist do all the time. I only play a little bit of Iron Fist, but I know it's very important to his gameplay patterns and how he gets in and out of fights. So overall, this is a pretty big nerf to Iron Fist. And then his Dragon Defense cooldown reduction from his normal punches now goes down by a third. So this is actually a deceptively big nerf. This is just going to mean he cannot do as much as fast, right? Because now his normal attacks only reduce the cooldown of his right click by 1 second instead of 1.5. So every 2 hits that you trigger this effect, you're going to be missing out on a second off your parry, which is going to be a lot less fighting done by Iron Fist because they're going to have to wait for this to come up a lot of the time, or close to coming up before they ultimately go on and engage. These are some pretty big nerfs to Iron Fist. I think this is going to... I think good Iron Fists will still find a way, but this is... I'm excited to see kind of where he lands. I'm curious to see where he lands and if people are still going to be banning him. But I think this is deceptively one of the bigger set of nerfs this patch, believe it or not. Iron Man... Which, by the way, I think is okay, because I think good Iron Fist, absolute menace. Iron Man has seen a reduction in his repulsor blast and burst survivability. Also, remember, Iron Man lost the Gamma team-up, but he gained the 5% damage from the base with Ultron. Decreased the projectile damage of the third repulsor blast from 50 to 45, and decreased the spell field damage from 60 to 55. Okay, so he has a team up with Ultron, but then they just nerf his damage. Doesn't really do that much. But then they also reduce the shield. So they actually think Iron Man is a little strong, it looks like. Losing Gamma. This is interesting, because I wouldn't consider Iron Man a character that's necessarily, like, overpowered. But I would say is sleeper strong. But I think with the 5% damage and losing the team up, I think overall Iron Man is kind of getting nerfed here. But maybe with the introduction of, like, a flying support, maybe he just has really good synergy with Ultron. I don't know. Maybe they know something we don't. A little surprised to see these nerfs. This is the first, like, kind of scratching my head change here. But I do think Iron Man is in a good spot right now. I don't think he really needed these nerfs, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it pans out. Namor, another person who teams up with Hulk. Looks like his Blessing of the Deep is... No way, they nerfed Namor's escape by 5 seconds. That is a big nerf to Namor. So they gave Namor the Hela treatment. That is a really big nerf, actually. The Horn of Proteus is his ultimate. The inner circle has been increased, and the outer circle has been increased. But the outer circle damage has been decreased. So Namor is going to have an easier time one-shotting squishies with his ultimate, because you want to hit him in the inner circle, and when he doesn't land it, even though it'll be a little easier to land, he'll be a bit more punished, but still has enough burst, probably with damage buffs, to one-shot a lot of people. Like 40% damage buff is going to put him 40, 80. Actually, just under one shot with damage buff. So basically, Namor can no longer one-shot the squishy people with the outside of his ring with damage buff, which is a pretty pretty big change. Pretty massive change. This is a big nerf to Namor. But good Namors are still going to find ways to carry. And will not need their teammates as much to do it now. Because of this right here. Now, Monstro spawn damage fall off starting at 20 meters, reducing to 30 at 40. Okay, so his squids are getting stronger, actually. So his survivability takes a hit, his damage goes up a little bit, and good Namor's gonna have an easier time landing. Overall, I don't think this is like a massive nerf. It's more of just an adjustment. I wouldn't be too happy if I were a Namor player because of the survivability nerfs. It's gonna mean he probably can't flank as much, but overall, he's gonna be still decent. I think Namor's still a good pick, and he's still gonna be a counter to dive. So, interesting changes. I think they're trying to encourage people to dive more, especially with like a lot of the dive heroes getting nerfed, and this is definitely a way to do it. So now feels like maybe there's some counterplay with Namor, right? I don't hate this change. I think it's probably a good reallocation of his strengths. Okay, so now we have Psylocke. Psy will take a slight dip in her burst damage and survivability. Yeah, I'm going to say right now, guys, I've been playing some pretty sweaty lobbies. I've gone against some top 30, some top 100 players now, man, and let me tell you, bro, Psylocke is a menace. This character is disgusting. This character is 100% S tier. 100%. Just ruins lobbies by herself, is completely busted, elo inflated character, and good players know how to take advantage of her. She needs nerfs. I'm already glad they nerfed her team up. She needs more, and it looks like she's getting two off of her shurikens and her stealth. So good. Like, nerf this character to the ground. I hate Psylocke. This character is absolutely busted. But you know who isn't busted? It's probably one of the worst characters in the game. Is Squirrel Girl. Now, a lot of people in the comments probably say I'm crazy. I don't know what I'm talking about. But now the capacity of her acorns goes up by 2, which I'm not sure what that means, capacity. I think that means it does more damage. Decreases the cooldown of Mammal Bond. I'm going to be honest, I don't really know Squirrel Girl abilities, and this is going on pretty long. But Squirrel Girl buffs, thumbs up. I'm going to just, I get a freebie every patch notes. This is my freebie. People in comments, you could just tell me what happened there. I just skipped Squirrel Girl. Straight up, I just skipped her. My bad. Sorry for any Squirrel Girl means. I don't know what her abilities are. Star-Lord. His ultimate is being nerfed. It now comes up slower, which I think is absolutely needed. Star-Lord is another character that is like kind of sleeper OP and just makes it impossible for tanks to carry. Like if you're a tank and you're against a Star-Lord, if the Star-Lord's good, you don't really have any say over the game. You just pray your DPS kill him. Star-Lord's untouchable. He's such so annoying to deal with. So the fact that when he farms ult charge off of tanks, goes up a little slower, hey, that's what we like to see. But I don't like how they're increasing his ult power. But at the end of the day, if he's hitting you with it, he's going to kill you. And if he's not, like, what does it matter? So overall, I think this is probably going to be a nice little nerf to Star-Lord. And I think he'll still be good. Storm! Her ultimate got buffs. Yeah, this is the first change I just outright disagree with here. This is the first change I just outright disagree with. I think Storm is one of the stronger characters in the game right now and needed a nerf. And not only has she gotten a new team up, but now she's getting buffed on her most brainless, easy ability to use. Yeah, I don't agree with this. So far, this patch has been pretty amazing. This is the first one where I'm really just like, not a great change. I don't think Storm needs buffs, especially not to her ultimate. Punisher. Punisher's a character with a pretty low win rate. Looks like his ultimate ability is he's going to be able to move less slow during it, which is nice. So when he's firing, he moves 30% slower. When he's not, he moves 10% slower. So nice buffs to Punisher. I'm not looking forward to that as Hulk. And then increasing his magazine size. Yeah, that's just his basic attack, like I thought. Okay, so he has more ammo. This is actually a pretty big buff, and it's going to definitely counteract him losing infinite ammo, which is pretty much the only time you really ever want to pick a Punisher in most games. So Punisher is probably going to be more self-sufficient, and he's definitely... Punisher is my sleeper pick for this patch. this character might turn into someone who's actually like really, really good. I know Magneto got buffed, which is a counter to him, but sleeper pick for this patch. Okay, we got Jeff. So, I already looked at these changes. Long story short, guys, Jeff is being pushed more from, like, self-sustain, self-survivability to more of, like, a frontline healer. His healing wave, the water, now pierces allies, but does not pierce enemies, and also does damage to enemies. So now, allies, he can heal multiple allies at once at the same time, which is going to drastically increase his healing. The healing on it, though, I think got nerfed just a little bit. And then his bubbles now give healing over time, over 4 seconds. And the reason they're doing this is so Jeff can't just spam them on himself and just keep topping himself off. So he's going to have some counterplay now. He's going to be able to be bursted out, which is going to pretty much, I don't know if it's going to kill his backline playstyle, but I think it's pretty much not going to be a thing anymore, which I'm not a huge fan of. They're kind of giving Jeff the rocket treatment, which they're getting rid of his identity a little bit, but making him more viable on normal teams. It really just depends what your views are on competitive games, whether you think you should have like unique niche picks like old Rocket and old Jeff now, or do you think every character should be viable in a competitive setting in some fashion? If you think the former, then you probably don't like these changes. And if you think the latter, you probably do. I personally do not like these changes, but I do think Jeff is now going to be more viable. He also gains bonus health when he lands his ult, so if he doesn't hit somebody, he's going to be less easily killed on his way out. Jeff's ult basically now is like, if you hit somebody with it, they're probably going to die. So overall, Jeff mains, let me know what you think below. I'm not going to give my opinion on this, but I personally think backline Jeff is a cool thing, and it's probably probably not going to be much of a thing anymore. Maybe I'm wrong though, because the crit reduction now is going up even higher. So, because Jeff's really easy to crit. The reason he has this is because his head is so big. So Jeff mains, let me know what you think. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this one. But as far as whether or not he's going to be better or worse, I think he's going to be better. I think he's going to be better. Luna Snow, we're getting towards the end, guys. Okay, so yeah, her neutral healing has gone up. I don't think she needed this. I've been saying for a while Luna needs a nerf to her ult. Looks like they did that. Not in the way I wanted, though. I wanted her ult to be a 10-second duration, not 12. Because when she ults, it's just like nothing happens. It's just kind of boring. But making her be able to ult less, I guess, is fine. And now she gets free health when she hits people. I don't know. I really don't understand these like weird, like, I don't know why they want to keep Luna so strong. They finally give her a nerf that she needs, and then they just immediately buff her in other ways. I think they're just intent on making Luna Snow, for whatever reason, the best support in the game every patch. And I'd be curious to hear your theories on as to why that is below. Yeah, she's still going to be really good. I mean, she got nerfed in one way, but then they immediately said, nah, man, we still want her to be in one of the best healers. So they're keeping her viable, keeping her meta, despite her not really even being a real Marvel character. I guess they're really trying to attract the K-pop audience, perhaps. Who knows? And last but not least, guys, since we already did the team-ups, Rocket Raccoon getting a minor nerf to his survivability. Well, obviously he loses the team-ups, but now his heals do 5 less, but he gets 5% more healing. So overall, that's going to be pretty much counteracted. Okay, this is probably going to be my longest patch notes yet. I am honestly, you guys know me. I will give you my honest opinion. I'm going to be real with you. I'm going to give you my opinions, rain or shine, good or bad, if I like the patch notes or not. I've given B- and C- on previous patch notes I've done. Drum roll, please. This is going to be the first. A. Just A. No A+, no A-, no S. This is their first A patch. Couple changes that I minorly disagree with. Couple changes where I would have maybe slightly done something different. But for the most part, I think NetEase has hit the ball out of the park. Marvel Rivals is saved. I guarantee you. I promise you watching, if you made it this far, which don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. Help me out in the algorithm. If you are struggling to enjoy yourself in Marvel Rivals, for whatever reason it may be, there's a pretty good chance you're going to enjoy the game more now, just because of how much oppressive, overpowered stuff has been brought in line with everything else. And a lot of the broken, unfun stuff that you have to play against a lot of the time, like Spider-Man, like infinite ammo, like having to dive into more, you're probably going to have a little bit of an easier time. So I think all in all, this is a great patch. I'm really looking forward to it. And hey, Marvel Rival is saved.